All right, so get this. We're diving into something that sounds straight out of Hollywood. The dark web assassins market.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. Digital nightmares, whispers and rumors. Is it real or just another internet legend?
I mean, you just perfectly describe why people are so fascinated by the dark web.
I know, right? Okay, so we've got research articles, news reports, the whole shebang, our mission.
And
Separate fact from fiction, and really explore the tech and the psychology behind it all.
sounds like a plan.
Okay, so first things first. For anyone who maybe hasn't gone down this rabbit hole before, can you explain what the dark web is? How's it different from, just regular internet?
Okay, so imagine an iceberg. The tip, what you see above water, that's the surface web. Google, Facebook, online shopping, all that jazz.
Gotcha.
Now, the dark web, that's what's hidden beneath the surface. A whole network of websites you can't access with your everyday browser.
So how do you get there? Some secret password or
Yeah.
something?
Not a password exactly, but you do need special software. The most popular one is the Tor browser. It uses this thing called onion writing. Basically, it bounces your connection all over the globe, makes it super hard to trace your activity or location.
So you're basically invisible in the dark web.
Pretty much. Yeah, anonymity is a tricky thing. It can be a good thing in some cases, like protecting privacy, freedom of speech, especially in countries with, strict governments.
Right.
But it can also be used for illegal activities away from the eyes of law enforcement. And that's where this whole assassins market thing comes in.
Okay, let's get into that. It all started with rumors on dark web forums, right? Like people claiming they found websites offering hitman services, surveillance, kidnapping, the works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you had these supposed screenshots of these websites popping up on Reddit and 4chan price lists, outlining the costs for various services. Pretty creepy stuff.
Hold on. So are you saying there's no proof behind these claims? Are the screenshots just fake?
Well, that's where things get interesting. While most probably all of these sites are scams, there have been a few real-life cases that make you wonder.
Oh, really? Like what?
There's the case of Ross Ulbricht, the guy who founded Silk Road.
Silk Road. The dark web marketplace, I've heard of it. He got busted for drug trafficking, right?
Yeah, but there's more to it. Back in 2013, he was also accused of trying to hire a hitman through Silk Road, wanted to silence a former employee who was threatening to expose him.
Wow. So he was using the dark web for drugs and to eliminate threats. That's insane.
Yeah.
Did he actually go through with it? Did anyone get hurt?
Luckily, no. The supposed hitmen turned out to be undercover cops, but it brings up a big question. If someone's willing to buy drugs online, could they be tempted to go even further?
I see your point.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one case where things get a little blurry.
Yeah.
Any others that suggest this assassin's market might not just be a spooky internet tale?
There's the case of this Canadian guy in 2020. He tried to hire a hitman through a dark website to kill his ex-girlfriend. He contacted the website, made a payment in Bitcoin even. The thing is, the site was a total scam.
Oh, wow. So even though the website was fake, his intentions were real.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. You mentioned Bitcoin. Is cryptocurrency the go-to payment method for these types of transactions?
Pretty much, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin offer a level of anonymity you just don't get with regular banks. Transactions are awkwarded, but it's really hard to link them to your real identity.
Makes sense. So we've got these shady figures claiming to be assassins, screenshots of hitman websites, and a couple of real-life cases where people tried to use the dark web for murder for hire.
Yeah.
So a weird mix of truth and fiction.
Yeah, it really plays on our fascination with the thought that anything goes in these hidden corners of the internet.
Okay, but if most of these sites are fake, how do they actually work? How do they convince people they're legit?
It's all about deception. They build these websites that look super professional. Like they could be real dark web marketplaces just with a darker theme.
And I bet they use all the usual dark web tricks, encrypted messaging, crypto payments, to make it seem extra secretive and risky.
Exactly. That mystery is key. They might even make up fake reviews from happy clients. It's all designed to build trust and real in people who are desperate.
And then, poof, they vanish once they've got the money, leaving the victim with empty pockets and probably a whole lot of fear.
Exactly. It's preying on vulnerability. But it does raise an interesting question. Why do people fall for these scams? Why is this myth of the assassins market so strong?
Well, it can't just be the technology, right? This idea that someone would want to pay to have someone killed, it's got to predate the internet.
You're absolutely right. It's not like the dark web invented these desires, but it does amplify them. It creates a sense of distance,
Yeah.
It's easier to think about something like murder for hire when you're behind a screen talking to some anonymous entity.
Yeah, it takes away the human element. The consequences.
Exactly. And that anonymity, it also taps into our fascination with the forbidden. This
Ah,
idea that there's a hidden world where you can do anything, indulge your darkest fantasies without consequences, it's a powerful draw.
so it's like a combination of technology making it possible and our own psychology making us vulnerable.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Okay, so let's look at it from a different angle. If the tech is there, the Tor browser cryptocurrencies, and there's clearly a demand, why are so many experts skeptical about a real, large-scale assassins market existing?
There are a few reasons. Logistically speaking, contract killings are incredibly complicated. They need careful planning coordination, a ton of trust, which is pretty hard to come by in the dark web.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of risk for both sides.
Hmm.
The person hiring the hitman could get scammed or their identity revealed,
Yeah.
and the hitman could get double-crossed or caught by the police.
Exactly. And then there's the fact that law enforcement agencies are watching the dark web. They know what goes on there. They're constantly looking for anything suspicious.
So even if a big assassins market did exist, it wouldn't last long?
That's what most people think. It's more likely that these sites are either small-time operations that get shut down quickly or, like we said, just elaborate scams.
But that doesn't mean the dark web is harmless,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's still drug trafficking arms, dealing identity theft, all kinds of dangerous stuff happening there.
Oh, absolutely. The dark web is a complex and often unsettling reflection of our own world. It reminds us that technology can be used for both good and bad.
That brings us to a big question. What does the future hold for the dark web and this whole assassins market idea? Will it always be just a myth, or could new technology make it a real threat?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If anonymity tools get even better, harder to track, could we see a rise in dark web activity, including violent crimes?
Scary thought.
It is. It makes you wonder what would drive someone to go to such lengths. What makes these platforms so appealing to people who are desperate enough to even consider something like this?
Right. What leads them down that path?
It's a mix of things. For some, it might be feeling powerless, like they have no other options. They might feel let down by the justice system or like they have nowhere else to turn. The dark web offers anonymity a sense of control, a belief that they can take matters into their own hands.
It's almost like a digital Wild West, huh? No rules.
That's a good way to describe it, and that lack of accountability is what makes it so dangerous.
But even if someone's desperate, wouldn't the risks of hiring an anonymous hitman make them think twice?
You'd think so. But desperation can make people do crazy things.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the psychological factors we talked about, the anonymity, the detachment, the allure of the taboo. All of that can really distort how people see risk and reward.
So while a massive, perfectly run assassins market might seem like something from a movie, the possibility, no matter how small, is still there.
Yeah, and that's a pretty disturbing thought.
It is. It really makes you think about the darker side of human nature and the power of the internet.
Definitely. It's a reminder that even with all the good the internet does, it also has a dark side. And it's up to us to be aware of that and use it responsibly.
So while a massive, perfectly run assassins market might seem like something from a movie, the possibility, no matter how small, is still there.
Yeah, and that's a pretty disturbing thought.
It is. It really makes you think about the darker side of human nature and the power of the internet.
Definitely. It's a reminder that even with all the good the internet does, it also has a dark side. And it's up to us to be aware of that and use it responsibly.
It seems like the more we learn about this, the more questions pop up. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion only to find more onion.
It's true. The internet is still such a new frontier. And like any unexplored territory, it has its share of risks and rewards.
We've talked about the technology, the psychology, the legal challenges, but we still haven't really answered the big question. Does this assassins market actually exist?
And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe it's not about finding a clear-cut answer, but about making us think critically and really examine our own beliefs.
So it's not about proving or disproving the myth. It's about understanding the bigger picture, the technology, the human behavior, the fears that make something like this even imaginable.
Exactly. It's about realizing that the internet is a reflection of us. It shows both our good and bad sides.
We've seen that happen with every new technology. The printing press, the atomic bomb. The internet is no different.
The choices we make online, the things we choose to see, and do they have real-world consequences? It's our responsibility to be aware of that and to use the internet carefully.
Well, we've definitely explored some dark corners today, haven't we? From those creepy rumors on hidden forums to real-life cases that make you question what's real and what's not. We've gone deep into the world of the assassins market. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with one final thought.
What's that?
We've talked a lot about the tech side of things. What about the human side? What kind of person would even think about using a service like this? What pushes them to that point? And what does it say about us as a society that there's even a demand for something like this?
Those are some heavy questions. The dark web is full of mysteries and unsettling possibilities, but at the end of the day, it reflects our own human nature. It shows that even in the digital age, the line between good and evil is blurry. And it's up to each of us to navigate this online world with both curiosity and caution.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember the internet is a powerful tool. It can be used for good or for bad. The choice is in our hands. It's like we're constantly uncovering more layers. I mean, it's clear that the dark web is this kind of scary reflection of ourselves, right?
Absolutely. It really shows how technology can be used for both good and evil. And the choices we make online, they matter. They have real-world consequences.
That's a great point.
Mm.
So with all this in mind, where do we go from here? I mean, what does the future hold for the dark web and this whole assassins market thing? Is it going to stay in the shadows, or could technology actually make it a bigger threat?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? As technology advances, it could become even easier to operate in the dark web with complete anonymity. That could potentially lead to an increase in all sorts of illegal activities, including, the ones we've been talking about.
Yeah, that's a pretty unsettling thought. It really makes you wonder about the nature of good and evil, right?
Mm.
Like, where do we draw the line?
It's a complex issue, but I think this whole exploration of the dark web really highlights the importance of individual responsibility. We all have a role to play in shaping the online world, and it starts with being aware of the risks and making conscious choices about how we use technology.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the dark web assassins market.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating, if somewhat disturbing, journey.
For sure. But hey, that's what we do here, right?
Mm.
We dive into the dark corners so you don't have to. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, the internet is a powerful tool. It's up to us to use it wisely.